Trump's new battleship plan could transform the U.S. Navy, or sink it. President Donald Trump's announcement of a new class of battleships bearing his name puts a fresh spotlight on a U.S. naval shipbuilding program that has fallen short on delivering the new warships on time and on budget in recent years, something Trump himself pointed out in his speech from Mar-a-Lago on Monday. "We make the greatest equipment in the world, by far, nobody's even close. But we don't produce them fast enough," Trump said, as he announced he would meet soon with top U.S. military contractors to ramp up production for the new battleships and other weapons programs. But at least in the battleship plan, the Navy would seem to be swimming upstream with construction of the vessels themselves and some of the weapon systems the service says would be aboard. Here's what to consider about the proposed Trump-class battleships. The vision. A U.S. Navy fact sheet released Monday says the Trump class will be the most lethal warship to ever be built. With a length of up to 880 feet and a displacement of 30,000 to 40,000 tons, they'll also be the biggest surface combatants the U.S. Navy has constructed since World War II. Those battleships, like the renowned USS Missouri, which hosted the Japanese surrender in 1945, were 887 feet long and displaced around 58,000 tons. The biggest surface combatants in the U.S. Navy fleet now are the Zumwalt destroyers, which displace 15,000 tons. As envisioned, the ships will have the most destructive firepower of any surface ship to ever sail, having the ability to strike an adversary at 80x the range of the previous class, the Navy's new website on the ship says. The battleships will be armed with new nuclear-capable cruise missiles to be launched from 12 cells on board. The missiles would be hypersonic, more than 5 times the speed of sound, and maneuverable to confuse enemy defenses. The Trump class would also feature 128 vertical launch cells that can be used for slower-flying Tomahawk cruise missiles, anti-ship missiles, or missile defense interceptors. Other armaments would include a railgun, 5-inch conventional guns, and a range of lasers and smaller guns. Overall, the planned ships would be 100 times more powerful than those World War II-era battleships, Trump said. The obstacles: building them. The administration has given no time frame for how long it will take for the design phase, which the president said he will personally be involved in, or the building of the first 2 ships. The new battleships project would be led by a naval shipbuilding base that has struggled to deliver in recent years, and which Navy Secretary John Phelan said this year was in disarray. "All of our programs are a mess," he told a U.S. House hearing in June. "I think our best ship build is 6 months late and 57% over budget. That is the best one." Then last month, Phelan axed the Constellation-class frigate program, which was about 3 years behind schedule and was expected to yield much smaller and less complex warships than the new battleships Trump now proposes. As far as large complex ships go, the Navy's newest aircraft carrier, the USS John F. Kennedy, has slipped about 2 years behind its scheduled delivery date, which was July of this year. Those delays have been attributed to new landing and weapons elevator systems, which the service is still trying to get certified. Then there's the question of who will build these new battleships. U.S. shipyards are already stretched thin with current construction, maintenance, and overhaul jobs. "We no longer have the shipbuilding and maritime industrial infrastructure to do this quickly," said analyst Carl Schuster, a former U.S. Navy captain. Ships the size of the Trump class would need the same dockyard space as large amphibious and logistical support ships the Navy also needs, so closed shipyards would need to be reactivated or new ones built, Schuster said. And then there's the workforce. A national-scale recruitment and training program for shipyard, electrical, information, and sensor system workers would be required to support this program, Schuster said. Navy Secretary Phelan just recently pointed out the difficulties in recruiting a workforce, especially when it comes to pay. If workers can make the same money working in an Amazon warehouse or a convenience store, they're less likely to choose the arduous backbreaking jobs found in a naval shipyard, he told a defense conference in Indiana last month. Alessio Patalano, professor of war and strategy at King's College London, said Washington has the technical know-how to make these ships, but it must overcome the shipyard problem. The question is whether the U.S. has a sufficient shipyard capacity and workforce to translate a visual gold fleet into a real sailing one, he said. Lastly, cost has to be a consideration. Trump said Monday the new battleship ships would eventually replace the Navy's Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, the backbone of the U.S. surface fleet. Those destroyers cost about $2 billion each. A Trump-class ship would have a price tag as high as $15 billion, according to a Monday report from USNI News. The obstacles follow through. Schuster noted the Navy's sketchy record on seeing ambitious shipbuilding programs followed through to completion. Take the aforementioned Zumwalt-class destroyers, a program that began in the 1990s. A plan for 32 of the high-tech, stealthy ships was eventually cut to 3, with the last of the class, the USS Lyndon B. Johnson, still awaiting commissioning, now not expected until 2027. Or the Constellation-class frigates, which were cut to a maximum 2 hulls from a planned 20. And, as Schuster points out, recent shipbuilding programs that have reached planned numbers have fallen well short of overall success, specifically the littoral combat ships. That program, which has produced more than 36 hulls, has seen some of them retired with as little as 5 years of service as they've been plagued by reliability issues and a lack of a well-defined mission. At least one of the weapons planned for the Trump class, the railgun, will need to be rescued from the scrap heap if it is to be used on the battleships. The Navy canceled its railgun program in 2021 when technical challenges proved too difficult to overcome. Railgun tech uses electromagnetic power to propel a hardened projectile at speeds far higher than current weapon systems. But it requires huge amounts of power, and most programs around the world have made little progress so far towards a commercially viable, reliable weapon. Schuster says the Trump administration also needs to make some changes in management if it wants the Trump class to be successful. This project will be managed by NAVSEA, Naval Sea Systems Command, an organization and staff that has screwed up every surface warship program of this century, he said. I believe Trump must clean house in that organization if he wants any shipbuilding program to succeed. Patalano says there's a further problem within the Navy, crewing the new larger vessels, which the service expected to have 650 to 850 sailors aboard. The U.S. Navy is not known for being at the forefront of automation and innovative solutions in terms of more compact crew management. Doing so will require a cultural shift in light of other new classes being built, of no trifling proportions, Patalano said.